what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Casually Fit Podcast. My name is Rob. It is episode 34, and thank you for coming in today. So I got a few things I want to talk about. As usual, I'm going to talk to you about I'm going to show you the Fit Fighter of the Week, somebody who has lost a significant amount of weight. This week is somebody that has lost over 200 pounds, and this is a recurring highlight. I believe I highlighted this person before, but for reasons that you'll know here shortly, I want to highlight this person again because it is such a great story. And then I'm also going to give you a quick nutrition tip, quick fitness tip for you just to help you move along, maybe something that you haven't thought about. If you're struggling to lose weight, you got some questions, or you're just trying to find a better way to do things, just got a couple quick tips for you. And I'm going to end it off with the Fit Freak of the Week, somebody who is out there absolutely killing it. And this person this week is a special one, right? Another great story. But first, let me let you know what's going on. Oh, if you want to support the podcast, if you want to support what I'm doing, you can go to liftrunstretch.com. There's a membership program, $10 a month. You also get workout programs in there. You can ask questions, and there will be more workout programs coming into that, and also a specific podcast for that membership. So go ahead, check that out if you'd like. Other than that, if you listened last week, or if you listened a couple weeks before, I have been having some back issues, and at the end of last week, everything was getting good. I came in to record this podcast last week. Said last week too many times. I came to record this podcast, right? And I was debating on surfing before I came in, and then I was debating on surfing the next day. But I thought, you know what, Rob, just go ahead and relax. Your back still hurts. You should probably take it easy. And for once, I actually listened to myself, and I did. I did take it easy. And then I hit up my buddy because I looked ahead at the week, and I was like, hey, look, there's going to be a nice swell coming in. And me and my buddies sometimes go and we cruise up north, and we go catch some waves that we typically don't go up and catch. And I hit him up, said, hey, my back should be good by Friday. Do you want to go drive up north and catch some waves at this really great break? And he said, yeah, and we just set it all up, and I was getting pumped to go on Friday. My back still hurt Wednesday, still hurt a little bit on Thursday, but it was starting to feel better on Thursday. But we had it all set up for Friday. We were going to go in the morning. There's going to be like 6+ feet. It's going to be warm out. I was stoked to go. I haven't surfed before then for like a week and a half. And you know what happened? Well, first off, my office, the place where I record this, is in downtown San Diego. And for whatever reason, this place does not offer any parking at all, which is insane. How you can have a big building downtown and not offer parking. They didn't even offer me to pay for parking. They just said, you can't park. We have parking, but we're not going to include it. And you can't even pay us to park here. And then all the other places, it's like $300 a month to park in downtown. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I bought an electric skateboard, and I just park outside of downtown, and I cruise on the electric skateboard all the way through downtown to the office, which is only like 3 or 4 blocks. It's fun. I like skateboarding. So it's been great. And on Thursday, I was feeling tip-top shape. I was feeling awesome. I got done with my workout, and it was sunny out. It was warm, so I was in sandals. I was in shorts, and I parked at my usual spot right outside downtown, grabbed my board, and I'm just, thinking about the rest of my day. Like, oh, this is going to be great. Thinking about tomorrow, about to go surfing. It's like my day off. And you know what happened? I started manualing, right? Which I manual on this electric skateboard. This thing goes 30 miles an hour. I manual on this electric skateboard 15, 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour with shoes on. No problem. All the time. I love it for that. It's a little electric skateboard. And this morning, this on Thursday morning, I was doing that as well, and everything was going good. But then I decided to not really pay too close attention while I was trying to manual for a very long time at like 15 miles per hour with sandals and shorts on, right? And to anybody who doesn't know me, even if you do know me, that doesn't sound smart. I don't think it was smart, but I've been, skateboarding for a very long time. I do this all the time. And what happened is my back foot ended up just like slipping off the back. And I wasn't expecting it. Usually I'm expecting a fall. This time, I don't know I just wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe, my foot maybe been a little too sweaty and just slipped off. But I slipped off the back of my skateboard at 15 miles per hour with sandals and shorts on, right? And so what happened next was, not going to get graphic, but I got some scrapes, and big enough scrapes to keep me out of the water. So not only was I itching to get back into the water, my back was feeling good, and I had a surf trip planned for the next day, just ready to go, right? I am now out of the water for like another week or two. I might go in the next couple days. We'll see. But pretty much out of the water for a while. And I had to push back that surf trip and miss out on a whole bunch of other surf after that. So that's how my week has gone so far. And it's amazing how the body recovers, though. Huge gashes and scrapes, and they're recovering, except for like, my hand, the moist areas. It's weird how the body recovers. If it's moist, like your hand's always kind of moist, this is taking forever to heal. But on my foot, where it's not so moist, it heals pretty rapidly. And yeah, it's pretty wild. I've had a bunch of cuts and scrapes or whatever, so I know the deal by now. Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. That's kind of annoying that happened this week. But let's get into the fit fighter of the week. All right, this person, in general, whenever you come to this podcast, I want to show you somebody who has been out there trying to lose weight, right? I want to show you somebody who, has gone through a bunch of trials, tribulations, probably doubted their journey, and had, maybe even stopped at some point. But, when I show you them, they've already gone through a bunch of that. And there's still probably more that they got to go through, but they've already gone through a lot. And this person has definitely done that. I'm going to get into that in a second, but this person is Ethan Suplee. So if you go to Instagram, just go to Ethan Suplee. This is a dude who is in like the more famous roles, like Remember the Titans. He's always a bigger character. He's a pretty big guy in Remember the Titans. He's also in American History X. Big guy in that one as well. And it's been in a couple other movies, but those are the ones that are coming to mind for me. Huge movie star. And what he did is he lost 200 pounds, right? So that's insane. And that's why I'm showing you this person. I think I've done it already, but I did just come across a podcast on the Joe Rogan Experience where he jumped on there. And it's a great podcast. They get into a bunch of his personal battles with weight loss, which is why I wanted to bring up his name. Again, for any of you listening to this, I mean, just wanted to share that with you, that you should go check out Ethan Suplee on Instagram, and then definitely listen to that podcast. If you're trying to lose weight, struggling with it, that is a must listen to podcast. I know the Joe Rogan Experience can be controversial for some people. They just don't like him. I think he has a clips channel where they, I think, have a couple clips of just the weight loss. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, just go listen to the clips. But getting into, and also Ethan Suplee has done multiple other interviews as well, talking about this. And I haven't listened to those. Maybe he goes into more detail, but they go into pretty good detail in this recent podcast. And I can't recommend that enough. I mean, so much great information. Like, one thing that's not, this thing sticks with me because I don't think people understand how long it can actually take to lose weight. And when Ethan was asked, how long has it taken to lose weight? How long, has this been going on? And his answer was 20 years. He has lost 80 pounds, gained back 100 pounds, lost 150 pounds, gained it back, lost, he has lost and gained back the weight multiple different times over a 20-year span. And so that is, that's insane. Right now, he is at 200 pounds down, and he's just a beast. He's like, he could be the fit fighter of the week as well. He's just an animal. If you're watching this, then you can go ahead and see that. This is a very fit dude. Oh, yeah, and the movie, The Butterfly Effect. That was a good movie. But you can see right here, if you're watching the podcast, and if you're not watching it, you can go to YouTube and watch it. But you can see a side-by-side of 20 years ago, actually. And, he's a pretty big dude. And now he has abs and quads that will, quads for days. He probably squats an insane amount of weight. But yeah, he's just for sure, an inspiration. To lose the weight and to go through this 20-year journey, I think that's the biggest thing that people need to take away from him is to not, my idea on it is 20 years is like a wake-up call for people who think that weight loss is going to be easy or that they can just go and grab certain diets that will like elimination diets that cut out every single thing except for like potatoes, and then think that that's going to work, or doing some weird workout or some juice cleanse or something, that instead of thinking that that's the thing that's going to work, and they tell you it's going to work in 30 to 60 days, and a lot of people believe it, right? It seems kind of wild. To lose like 100 pounds in 60 days, it seems kind of wild. But if you never look into fitness, and if you really, a lot of people can believe that is possible. And especially when you have a bunch of shady but good salespeople or marketers that tell you that it is possible, right? So it can get pretty confusing. So I get that. But that's just not the case for most people. It's just not going to happen just like that in that short amount of time. And so going and checking out Ethan Suplee, he's a testament of how long it can actually take. And then if you listen to his story, you can hopefully avoid some of the things that led him to taking 20 years, right? Because I'm sure he would have loved to do it in a shorter amount of time. And if he was to help somebody else lose weight, I think he would hope that they could get down to and maintain a healthy weight in a short amount of time. I think he would be on board for that, right? I don't think a 20-year plan to lose weight is really like the best idea, right? It makes sense. So if you listen to his story, you can see some of the things that he went down, and then you can, if you're in the very beginning, right? Maybe you've gained weight for a while now, but now you just decided I'm going to lose weight. Guess what? You're at the beginning. You're where Ethan Suplee was at 20 years ago. Now you may be 20 years old, and then you'll be 40 years old, and you'll have a healthy weight, right? But you could also be 30 years old. You can be 40 years old, and that's where that 20-year mark just really doesn't. It's not exciting, right? But you are at the beginning, and just like him. Now, if you can listen to his story and you can pick out the things, like he talks about going towards juice cleanses or going towards just water, I believe is one of the things, and just going on these very hyper-focused diets really was not the way to go. So if you can avoid all of that, I think that would be great. Now, some people, they got to go through it, right? And if that's you, you're going to go through it anyways. But you can try to avoid some of these other things. And so that's why I would say, you don't need me hearing it. If he's on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? There's millions of people listening. So the word's already out. I'm just trying to highlight it here. But yeah, go check him out. Again, he's great actor for sure. Great actor and truly an inspiration. And his story is just now kind of starting to bubble up. He's starting to get, it's Ethan Suplee. He's already very well known, but I believe his story is just now starting to pop up. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be hearing a lot about it. And great, because again, 200 pounds, that's a lot of weight to lose. And going through 20 years to do it, or because, all the times that he has had to try to, climb the mountain, how many mountains he's climbed and then, stumble down. Just the sheer perseverance and tenacity that he has. That's inspiring right there. And the fact that he's standing on top of this new mountain, and seems like there's no stutter in his step. He's not slipping anytime soon, if ever at all. I think that's very inspiring, and you should go check him out. And that actually, part of that gets into my next point. So I want to talk about the nutrition tip of the week. So again, I want to give you something small, a little bite, something that you can take with you. And the nutrition tip, I just want to make sure I have it for you, is kind of what I was just talking about. This is something that I've been, espousing for a while now. But you should not be going on any hyper-focused diet. If you have to lose weight, like a considerable amount of weight, you got to lose, 60, 70, over 60 pounds, you got to lose a good amount of weight. And you're not hyper-focusing on anything right now, like you're not a vegan or you're not a carnivore right now. If you're not doing that right now, I don't think the best option would be to be like, hey, I'm going to lose 60, 70, 80, 90, however much weight you got to lose, but I'm going to lose all this weight, and I'm going to do it because I'm going to be a vegan, or I'm going to do it by being on the carnivore diet. And you go through this complete elimination diet kind of way, and you just focus on one area. Or you say, I'm going to go keto, that's going to be the diet. Or I'm going to go on a juice cleanse, that's going to be the diet. Or they have the moon diet. Have you heard about that? I did a video about it. Go check out the moon diet. I don't think the diet you should, I think you should stop going on a diet. I think people should stop looking for the beach body diet. There's so many different names for different diets. And, it can, when it's hyper-focused, when they tell you only a small amount of food that you can eat, I think that's too much, right? That's too, if you don't see other people, like a good amount of people, happily and healthily living off that diet, again, I'm not getting into the vegan carnivore diet, all right? That's something else I'm talking about. But if there's a diet out there that says to just eat potatoes, right? How many people are still eating just potatoes? How many people have been eating just potatoes for 10 years? Not too many, I would assume, right? I don't think that's a good diet to choose. I don't think you should start going on, you should look for these diets that are hyper-focused. I think those should, if you hear about them, you should just go here and be like, oh, is that diet going on because the food's actually nutritious? Okay, well, maybe I'll add that food to my current diet, but I'm not going to eliminate everything else and only eat that. I think that's just a way that most people fail. But the problem is, there's a lot of problems with it, but one problem is that they're easy to package for salespeople. So that's why you see so many different diets out there. It's because it's easy to put together a few things that kind of make sense. And in the short term, they can definitely make sense and they can help you actually lose weight, right? I'm not saying all these diets are garbage, but you can have a very hyper-focused diet that does actually work. but you got to start thinking long term, because if you want to maintain a healthy weight, you got to think about what you're going to be eating for the rest of your life. And, there's no, you're already eating one certain way right now, right? You're already eating all this different unhealthy food. And then switching over to knocking out 99% of that food and only eating 1% of food of like all available food, that's insanely difficult. Just for like somebody who eats healthy to do the elimination, to go on a keto diet, for people who are of a healthy weight and eat healthy most of the time, that could be very difficult for them. So what you're doing when you're trying to lose weight is you're going to go from the unhealthy diet. If you grab for these hyper-focused diets, you're going to go the unhealthy diet, and you're going to switch over to the 1% diet, the hyper-focused diet. And then inevitably, at some point, you're going to have to switch over to a new diet, or just the way you eat, is what I call it. And you're going to have to switch diets, the way you eat, several times. I think that extra hyper-focused way is, I don't think it's beneficial. Maybe if you go into it knowing that it's going to be for a very short amount of time, and you know that that's what it's going to be, and you already have the next thing planned out after a month or two, after you maybe try switching your body over to fat, like going to a keto diet, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go into a keto diet. I'm going to switch my body over into it consuming fat to help me get rid of some of this fat. And I'm going to do that for 2 or 3 months. And then once that 2 or 3 months is up, I'm going to start introducing some carbs, and I'm going to stick to a diet that's somewhat similar to a keto diet or whatever. You're going to ease your way into a healthy diet. I think if you have that all planned out, that's great, right? But a lot of people don't have that planned out. A lot of people think that one diet is going to be the diet that they have for the rest of their life, and it's going to absolutely work at helping them lose weight. And again, it could help you lose weight, but it doesn't help you maintain the weight, right? So I think instead of going through this extra step, right, going through this middleman, going through, getting caught up in the sales funnel, instead of doing that, I think the better way to do it is to look at it in a more broad way. And this is difficult, right? If you're not versed in nutrition or anything like that, which is where you kind of have to have this is where it gets weird. You kind of have to have like a diet kind of program, but what I'm going to explain to you is going to be something that's hopefully not, it's going to be as broad as I can, right? And I think the broadest way to do it is, again, if you're not a vegan, you're not a carnivore yet, or right now, and maybe you want to be one of those in the future, I don't think you should do that right away. Don't go to that first. I think take a more broad way of doing it, right? And keeping all your available options open, keeping your carbs open, keeping even the sugars open. Processed food, it's absolutely garbage, right? So it's hard for me to suggest to keep that open. But if you're used to eating processed food, you're used to the fast food all the time, and then you switch over, you try to go cold turkey, as they say, again, that could pose an issue. So I would say even to keep that open a little bit, but definitely keep your meat open, keep your plants open, and just focus on switching out the soda, the high sugar, for water, or LaCroix, or whatever, however you say it. The most basic B word, I can't swear, the most basic I'm going to bitch drink ever, really, right? It's with every influencer you see has the LaCroix, right? They have that with them. But the thing is that it's good for you. It's not, I haven't looked into the nutritional facts on it, but there's no sugar in it, and it's not garbage, right? So switching over, and it tastes, you get a taste with it. That's the big thing, that you get an actual taste with it. I think it's just sparkling water, right? So it just has a little flavor in it, but it doesn't have like Mountain Dew, which is, I guess, water, but it's just injected with so much just garbage, just sugar, just 80 grams of sugar for you. So switching over to that, right? Kind of an elimination thing. But my broad advice, if I was to give you broad advice, would be to keep all those options open and just start minimizing your unhealthy food. Identify what food you're eating is unhealthy and just start minimizing that, how much you consume over time, to where it's almost, sugars should be always very low. You shouldn't be eating a lot of sugar. You shouldn't be eating a lot of processed food, and you shouldn't be eating, what was the other one? There was one more. I forgot the other one. But yeah, we all know the unhealthy, like the fried food. We all know that stuff is not great for us. And even if you're eating unhealthy, you know it is. You know what's the healthy food and what's not healthy food, right? So I think just keeping all those options open and slowly switching out the food and slowly bringing it down, reining in all the sugars and the processed food, I think that's just a more broad way to go about it, right? You're still, eating meat, you're still eating plants, you're still eating vegetables. And I just think that would be, again, it's very broad advice, but I think that's the way, instead of going the hyper-focused way and say, hey, only eat this, only at this time, at this certain portion size, I think that's just, it's proven not to work, I think. Again, the statistic I'll keep saying is it's over 80% of people who try to lose weight fail to lose weight. And one of the most common things that people tell other people who are trying to lose weight is, hey, go on this diet. Try this diet out. Just try it out, right? That's what they always say. But again, it's too hyper-focused, because then you got to worry about what's going to happen afterwards, right? When you can just look at the bigger picture right now and you can think, okay, what's the bigger picture? Well, maybe I'll go to a carnivore diet later, but right now I'm going to, eat some vegetables. Right now, vegetables are on the plate because I used to have lettuce in my cheeseburger, so I got to keep the vegetables up, right? So you just keep it broad and you try to introduce the healthy food and have the healthy food overtake the bad food, and look at it in very broad ways like that, right? Broad ways allows for some wiggle room, and wiggle room, I think, is what people need when they're trying to lose weight. Some people can become very strict, very disciplined, completely cut themselves off from everything, and they can make it happen, and they can lose the weight, and they can be disciplined, and it could work. And that for sure works for some people, right? But it clearly does not work for everybody. And there's an argument that, well, these people just really got to keep on trying and keep, banging their head against this one thing to be that disciplined. If that was necessary, if there was like some dire threat to the world and all of us had to become a certain weight within our height and be at a certain fitness level in like 2 years, yeah, sure. Then it's worth it. Or then we have to do it, right? Then you have to be very strict. You have to be very disciplined and all that. But that's not really the case for most people, right? There's no threat coming at us. So your timeline can be a little bit longer. And if this is very difficult for you just to make the decision to try to lose weight, and if it's very difficult for you to stick with the plan, which is difficult for everybody, right? But if it just seems too difficult for you and it makes you stop, and you're looking for a different way to do it where you can slowly build into it, and you have the idea of slowly building in and slowly building up to be at that point to where you are, very disciplined in what you eat, but you're trying to work your way, you're trying to build up into it, I think this is the best way to go, is to go as broad as you can and just slowly reduce the unhealthy food, start eating healthy, keep it broad, right? Don't say I'm not going to eat plants anymore. Don't say I'm not going to eat meat anymore. Don't do it yet. You can do it later. Just get down to a healthy weight first, maintain that healthy weight, and then start to see if you want to do the vegan or the carnivore thing, right? Because again, adherence to those diets is also very small as well, because again, you're eliminating things that you've been eating for a long time. So it's gonna be difficulty that comes in with that. So that's why I say avoid that, because again, you can go from a healthy diet and say, I'm just going to eat meat, right? I love meat, but I think it'd still be hard for me to just eat meat. So you go into this carnivore diet, and then all of a sudden 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, I don't want to eat this. And then you're back to, well, what do I eat? Well, I know how to eat unhealthy, and I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat unhealthy. And then you're back to the unhealthy diet. And then that's where people start picking off random diets. They go, oh, well, this one didn't work. Maybe this one works. And then you try that. And then you go back to, oh, well, this didn't really work. Well, I lost the weight, but now I don't know what to do. But I'm hungry. And the only food I know how to eat is either this very restricted diet or this unhealthy way. So then you just go back to unhealthy way. And then, this is a very oversimplification, but I think that this is one area that really confuses people and puts them into a box that they don't necessarily have to be in. So my nutrition tip, this is supposed to be a quick tip, right? That's my bad this week. It's supposed to be a quick tip, kind of rambled around. But my advice is to just ditch the hyper-focused diets, right? Just go as broad as you can. Keep things kind of open. Weight Watchers would be kind of a little bit, think kind of like that, where they just have like a point system to everything. But just know that even if 2 cakes equal all the points that you can have for that day, and you can kind of technically, I don't know if this is how it works, I'm just saying, and you can kind of technically eat 2 cakes a day, every single day, to stay within points, and then you should be good, right? Know that common sense would say that that's not the best way to do it. Okay, so don't take it that way, but take it in a way that all food that you see has some sort of nutritional value and some sort of point system, and you should always gravitate towards the food, especially if you're trying to lose weight. You should always gravitate towards the healthy food. You want to go towards protein. What has the most protein and the little amount or the least amount of sugar? That you should always go towards that. And you also have to configure the other big factor in here that you can't forget is you have to make sure that you're in a caloric deficit, right? You have to make sure the calories that you are consuming are less than the calories that you're burning. So you have to do all that, okay? So make sure you're in a caloric deficit. Again, that's very broad, right? Sometimes you can get too, I'm not going to get into it right now. So make sure you're into a caloric deficit, and just make sure you're eating mostly healthy food most of the time. If you slip up, you slip up, right? But just keep trying to eat mostly healthy food most of the time. Be in a caloric deficit, and do this day in and day out for days, weeks, months, and years. And you're going to lose the weight, okay? And you're going to have a healthy diet, right? If you're just eating healthy food. And again, if you want to go towards a hyper-focused diet after that, you want to try it out, go ahead. But don't let this other thing get in the way, right? Don't go on this magical joyride that they sell you, okay? It's hard. Just try to avoid it. But let's move on. Sorry, again, that went long. Sorry. Let's get into the fitness tip of the week, all right? So fitness tip of the week is, so one of the things that a lot of people kind of say when they're trying to lose weight is that the gym's just kind of a weird place, right? In which it is. Oh, another thing. Jesus, when I was looking for the fit freak of the week, when I was looking for the person to highlight, to show you like, hey, look at this person. They're they're killing it. They're strong. They're fast. They got explosivity. I mean, they're in shape. They're like athletes. When I was looking for that person, it is so hard to not get psychologically destabilized from searching Instagram and looking at hashtag CrossFit, hashtag weightlifting. And because I never searched through that stuff. And the amount of people who are taking selfies and putting pictures of themselves, and they do it multiple times a day, because I also see these people on the search page, and then I gotta look to see what else they're posting, right? I gotta see, and I see that it's all the same stuff and not much traction. I mean, it's very weird, and it's so weird to me. And it seems like a problem, a very big problem that we have, that may not be manifesting itself into, an actual, an actual huge problem, something that we can all say that's for sure a problem. But I feel like that's coming up at some point, because there are a lot of people who are taking selfies, and it's just very weird. It's a very weird thing, and it threw me off. All right, it legit threw me off before I did this podcast, which is, I'm going to blame that on why I rambled through that nutrition tip for you, okay? But let's move on to the fitness tips. So again, the gym can be very intimidating. A lot of people say it, and I would say personal experience. I myself used to, when I was younger, I was like in the gym all the time. When I decided I was going to go be a Marine, I was doing 2-a-days, working out all the time. I thought boot camp was going to be the hardest thing in the world. And I was already into fitness before that. I was already into lifting weights, not really fitness. I was just into lifting really heavy weight and seeing how much weight I could lift. So I was really into that. I think, the most I benched was like 315 a few times. And, everything else was pretty much up there, right? As far as how much weight I was pushing up. And what happened is that's where I ended. I ended working out, like lifting a lot, and always lifting a lot. I ended that and then stopped working out, right? I stopped working out for several years. And when I went back to get back into the gym, again, I'm used to benching, 285 really is what I would bench for reps, 285. And now I was struggling to put up, the 135. Like I couldn't even start at 135. I had to go down, right? And I'm feeling older. I'm feeling a little creaky, and this was when my ego was still pretty big. Right now my ego is pretty much dissolved. But this is when my ego is pretty big. And so I was going through this to where I'm like, I can't believe I'm lifting, almost like 200 pounds less than what I was lifting before. And I just felt so weak, and and everybody else is in there just lifting so much more weight than me, and I just felt a weird way. And I knew that I would get myself back into a fit state of being, but it felt weird when I got in there. So one of the things that I did was I decided that going into the gym at these times, being so insanely weak and this is something that I got over pretty quick, but one thing that helped me to keep on going to the gym and not get too dismayed was I picked some weird times to go to the gym. I think the weird times can be the best times for you, all right? Some people need another person to work out with, right? If that's you, don't be forcing your friend or whoever to go work out at this weird time if you don't want to. But if you're cool with not having a friend with you or somebody else with you or trainer to help you work out, I think the best thing you can do is to find a weird time to go to the gym that somehow fits into your schedule. Maybe you got to move some things around. Maybe you got to go to sleep earlier, or even go to sleep later, wake up earlier, whatever it is. If you got to move some things around, do it. But find a weird time to go to the gym to where you're pretty much in there by yourself. And I think that can help out a lot of people if you are feeling a bit too intimidated, right? If you're feeling a bit too, again, like before, my ego was just like you're not this weak, Rob. like come on, and the ego just, it's such a problem in areas like that. And a lot of people, you don't have to be fit and the most in shape person to have an ego, right? A lot of, everybody has an ego. It doesn't matter, what your body shape is. You can have an ego for sure, 100%. And I've seen that many times with people who are overweight who are going into the gym. It's like an ego check. You go into the gym, it feels uncomfortable. You got these other people in there who are in better shape than you, and you can go your whole life. You can go your whole day with not ever being in that position or in that thought space. And then all of a sudden you get into this space, and if you usually let your ego do the driving, when you get into that space, you're basically turning that car that had tinted windows, you're basically turning it into a convertible, and the ego freaks out. It wants to be behind those tinted windows. And so that's a problem, right? And if that is a problem for you, if you feel like it's too overwhelming, but you obviously still have to work out, I say pick a weird time. Start going. The weird times to go in the gym are very early. If you get there at 4 o'clock in the morning, I guarantee you there's not that many people going. I used to go 4 a.m. And that also has its benefits, going into the gym super early. Especially when you're on that journey, it's like an adventure. It is like a journey. If you take a step back, when you decide, hey, I'm going to lose weight, like you're going on this kind of adventure, and you could be feeling these different feelings now, and you're going to go through a point to where you feel absolutely like you'll be doing the hashtag determined. You'll be following Gary V. Like you'll be on that level. Hopefully not, right? But this tends to happen to most people. So when you're doing that, if you go work out at 4 a.m., you're now getting up at 4 a.m. and all of a sudden you went from not ever working out, not watching your diet, not doing any of these things, waking up at 10 a.m. or 11 or noon, whatever it is, and now you're the person who wakes up at 4 a.m., works out, and then starts your day. And if you can do that for several months, it's like it changes your perspective. Whether you keep on going with it or not, it changes the way you go about life. So picking a weird time for anybody, I think, is great. But also, if you're looking to lose weight, stay in the gym, maybe be a little nice to your ego, you can go in there when nobody's there and pick a weird time, like 4 a.m. 1 o'clock, is a good time as well. Before everybody gets off of work is a great time. It's a weird time. And then also, obviously, late at night as well. I remember I used to go to the gym sometimes at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And back when 24 hours was actually 24-hour fitness, since they're not open 24 hours anymore. But they still charge me the full amount. But yeah, back then you'll always see a couple people in there. But yeah, you'll just be in there by yourself. And I think that could help you out to be nice to your ego. But you do have to face that demon one day, right? You do have to face your ego and why you got to go through that whole thing. Why do you feel so uncomfortable and all of that? And that's your journey, right? I've already gone through that. Like I said, my ego is basically dissolved. So that's a fitness tip for you, okay? So if you're trying to work out, do all these things, like don't pick the usual time where you go at 5 p.m. or if you go at like 8, 9 a.m. Don't pick those usual times where the gym is absolutely its most packed and you're in there and you're feeling a little weird because all these other people are in great shape and you're not in good shape, and you end up not really working out that hard. You end up being self-conscious the whole time and thinking about all this shit that doesn't matter. If that's you, pick a different time, right? Just go at different times. Pick a time where you're there by yourself, and then you can just focus on the workout that you're doing. So that's the fitness tip. Again, nutrition tip as well. Again, don't hyper-focus on your diet. And let's finish off this episode that's going longer than I expected with the Fit Freak of the Week. Okay, this is somebody who is at the peak level of fitness, and today it is the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. It is Francis Ngannou, and this guy has a great story. He's from Cameroon, came, mining for, I can't remember what he was mining for, but digging dirt basically, and now he's the UFC champion of the world. And if you're watching the podcast, you can just see this dude is huge. He is 6'4", 275 pounds, something like that. And if you ever watched him fight, you will see that this guy, he is a athlete through and through. So he is clearly putting in time in the gym they think of gyms in different ways. Time in the boxing gym, jiu-jitsu gym, and time in the weightlifting room as well, because he is a big dude. And he would be what I consider a fit freak for sure. So if you're looking for somebody to give you that little bit of inspiration and motivation, I mean, this is all possible. He's not, he looks great. He's big guy, right? And his speed and everything like that, you can never really, match that. But as far as his physique, if you're somebody who's like 6'4" right now and you're just overweight, his physique is obtainable, right? He's just got, like defined arms, chest, a little bit of abs. So that can be an inspiration for anybody, right? He doesn't have the 12-pack abs, and he doesn't have the like 30-inch biceps, that bodybuilder type. He has a body that you would get through a lot of crazy exercises, and his power. You got to watch some of his fights. His power is insane. But yeah, I would just say that he's a good inspiration for people, and it's getting hot like it always does at the end of this episode. But yeah, I hope maybe you got something out of this episode this week, right? Go check out that Ethan Suplee podcast. Go follow him for sure. Check out his story. And again, take notes. You don't have to carbon copy. Don't try to take everything from his journey and try to apply it to your own. Don't think that's going to work out the same exact way for you, but take a few things. Maybe take a whole bunch of them, right? Maybe take most of the things that he did and try it out for yourself and see what works, what doesn't work, what you like, what you don't like. But definitely don't just not listen to it, for sure. And if you do listen to it, definitely don't dismiss what he's saying, right? Don't, again, he is somebody who has gone through it, right? It behooves you to ask this, to listen to this person's story. And yes, it is very anecdotal, right? And maybe everything that happened can only happen to him. But there are certain things that he did that he talks about that are just very simple things that you can do, right? So again, you can just try it for yourself. If it's a simple thing that you can do, then it's a simple thing that you can do. You can just try it. So go check out that podcast. Other than that, yeah, that's it. That's it for this week. Wish me luck. I got the scrapes all over. Hopefully I'll be in the water here. I almost went today, to be honest, but I thought that would be kind of stupid. And honestly, I almost went the day after it happened. I was going to get a whole bottle of liquid Band-Aid and just pour it over everything and go surfing. But, I might be out there in a couple days, but definitely I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully it happens soon. Other than that, have a good week. Thanks for watching. Adios.